As we looked at the trajectory, we realized that we are coming close to the Van Allen belts as we fly out. So we have a radiation concern on the launch vehicle as we fly near the Van Allen belts, which we have to stay away from because it could mess with our electronics, and we don't want that to happen on the way up. And so you'll see the window cut off at 65 minutes. We had been playing with different analysis to see what was the better option. So I wasn't firm on how large our window was. I would say about from anywhere from 45 minutes to 65. We're now at 65. There's opportunities later in the window where it expands to about 70 minutes. But after that point, the risk of seeing an upset on the way up increases dramatically. The very beginning of the window had some constraints early on, with the spacecraft being able to be picked up by a station in South Africa, Hartbeespoort, and so there was a risk trade that had to be made as to whether that station was needed, along with another station that's further downrange that could see the spacecraft on its initial separation. So that's why there was a shift. Okay?
The final last-minute problems you had getting out of Astrotech and on the way to the launch pad, could you just address those issues and how you resolved them?
Sure.
And also how you got a couple of extra days at the end of the launch opportunity?
Okay, so let me address we had two delays on the way out. First, we were dealing with a very sensitive instrument purge that keeps the instruments on the spacecraft purged with nitrogen to keep any of the environment away from it, moisture, dust, whatever it may be that we have here that these instruments don't like to see, and you want to maintain them in pristine condition when you go out to do the science. So we did have some problems with some leaks in that purge as it threads its way up through the adapter cone through the third stage. And so that cost us a couple of days. After we were done with that, we did have an issue where we damaged the electrical connector we had to separate the stage again, or the fairing, to get at this connector, repair it, and get it back together. And finally, we had some issue with a minor weather stripping foam is the best analogy I can give you that you would use around the home that has adhesive on one side. Well, that foam started to liberate itself from the sides of the fairing. So we had to separate the fairing again, clean off all that foam, account for all those pieces, and make those stages back together. So that cost us, as we started this on the 30th, we took a delay to the 4th, then we took a delay to the 6th, then we took a delay finally to the 11th. That's where we're at now. How we were able to get the additional 4 days, that had been in the works for quite some time. From the launch vehicle perspective, we actually had that in work over a year ago to add those additional days. The spacecraft hadn't had a chance to add those days, so that came in very late for us. That's why we expanded it from the 19th to the 23rd, fairly late for the public's knowledge, until the spacecraft was able to go analyze and plan for those days. And that's how we had those additional 4 days. But that is the cliff.
Okay, before we go to social, you have the mic, so real quick question.
It's quick. Sawyer Rosenstein with Talking Space. Question about that upper third stage. So I know that's not very common with these science missions. So what exactly is the planned parking orbit for the Delta IV's first and second stage? And then how much extra speed is that third stage going to give in miles per hour or something like that?
You want to give it a shot, Sal?
So what I can tell you as far as the speed is that we our requirement is a measurement of the velocity called C3. And the first and second stage of the Delta 4 get us to a C3 of about 50, 52, and the third stage then takes us from 50 to 152. So like I said, about 2/3 of the actual velocity after we get out of the Earth's atmosphere. The other stages will be, so the second stage and the third stage, they're on a course to leave the atmosphere, so they just go, and there's no parking stage with those. And the first, the cores will fall back down into the ocean.
Great, so now we'll take a question over here from the social media side.
Jack, is this on? Is this on now? Okay. Jack Sauter with YouTube. Is there any contingency plan in case the third stage doesn't ignite, or is the likelihood so low that you'll just get there if you get there?
So there is no contingency plan because like most of the stuff in the rocket, it has to work the first time. We're not something that can upload a command like sometimes you hear the spacecraft do if they have a problem. Everything has to work the first time. So we go through a very rigorous test program to make sure that we have the maximum probability that everything is going to work as appropriate. The engine that we use on the third stage is an engine that's flown many times. The Star 48 motor has flown hundreds and hundreds of times, and ignition has always been successful. So we just have to go through the process of testing and designing and testing and designing and testing to make sure that we have the maximum probability that everything is going to work.
All right, we still have time for a few more questions, but we're getting close to the end of the show. I want to make sure we get in a question from the users who wrote in with Ask NASA as their hashtag.
A Twitter user named Brady asked, how long did it take to develop the technology to survive the simultaneous fusions occurring in the sun?
I think it's a spacecraft.
Andy, do you want to? You repeat the question.
Yes. A user by the name of Brady on Twitter asked, how long did it take to develop the technology that will survive the simultaneous fusions occurring in the sun?
Well, fusion is what powers the sun, so that's deep down in the heart of the sun. We're going close, but we're not going that close. So at 4 million miles off the surface, the temperatures are about 2 to 3 million degrees Fahrenheit. The spacecraft flies through that plasma. The plasma is very rarefied. It's not very dense, so the spacecraft doesn't pick up a lot of heat from that environment.
Thank you.
One last question from our social here, and then we'll wrap up.
All right,
We
anybody
good?
else over here?
Anyone?
Oh, thank you.
This might also be for the science team, but I know Parker Solar Probe has a lot of scientific instruments, but then there's like Juno, which has JunoCam for public outreach. Will Parker Solar Probe have anything like that?
So no, we only carry exactly what we need for the science. As we noted, we have to be incredibly light. We don't carry anything extra, and so our instruments are there to do the job that they are meant to do. We do have a white light imager, and we will be providing you with the first ever look at the sun's corona. So there's no sort of add-on camera on there. We are doing all science with our instruments 24/7.
All science, no pictures. Trust NASA.
Give a nice round of applause for our launch team here.
Yeah, woo! Yeah, we love you, NASA.
So you can stay part of the conversation.
Never a straight answer.
Going to our Twitter handle at NASA Sun and using the hashtag Solar Probe.
Solar Probe. Hopefully this will be like the Mueller probe. We can get this started here with some Mueller probing and solar probing. And what do you have to think about this, Henry? Oh, I don't know. I think it's kind of fishy. I think it's strange. The sun is heating up. Everything's madness. The weather's bad. Things are crazy. Why are we sending moon stuff and sun rockets and things to go around the moon? I don't know. Well, little Totty Poto Toge. I got a question. Whoa, got a question. Really? It's just going to be pure science? Only science? No pictures for the public. No pictures. That would be stupid. We want to send a giant thing into space to circle the sun, but not take any pictures. No, no pictures. Not for you. My name is Henry. I'm with the Yeet Army, and I'm kind of pissed off at NASA because they never give me a straight answer. Yeet Army!